I took a closer look at my exam papers. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, I could believe it because I knew I was kinda dumb, but I was wondering what my parents would say. Would they kill me? Would they abandon me? Perhaps they'd ground me for life? Send me to boarding school? Send me to a Christian school filled with nuns? I tried to stop myself from looking, but I couldn't help it. I snuck another peek. F, 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 F. Would I get expelled? Would I have to repeat a grade? I bumped into Mr. Longman, our butler, standing in the school hallway as I aimlessly walked while lost in thought. I quickly hid the papers from him, and he'd already caught a glance, so he smiled.
Miss Rachel, the limo awaits you outside,
he said in his butler voice, bowing and pointing towards the school's exit. Oh, Mr. Longman, I grumbled. It is nice to see you hale and hearty. I am sorry about the brief illness you encountered and glad to see you back on your feet. In your time away, though, it seems you've forgotten the most important instruction I have given you about picking me up at school.
What's that, miss?
He asked, genuinely clueless. Wait for me outside. Do not enter the school. Do not wait for me in the school hallway, Mr. Longman.
Oh, that.
He laughed. Yes, that. And what's so funny, sir? He immediately composed himself.
I didn't forget. I'd waited outside for some time already and you didn't show up. I was getting worried, so I had to come in and look for you.
Well, no need to worry. I'm perfectly fine. I was just at the principal's office collecting my... I came to a quick halt, realizing that I was telling him too much already.
Collecting your what?
He questioned. Never mind, let's go. During the limo ride home, I rehearsed my failure speech to my parents over and over again, with great emphasis on the part that said, I may have failed all my subjects, but let's look at the bright side. I didn't know what the bright side was, but I knew there was a bright side, and it was coming closer with each passing day. Want to know how magic turned me from a Dumbo to the most intelligent girl on the planet? Stick to the end of the video to find out. Before we proceed, hit the like and subscribe button immediately if you want magic to change your life for the best. I stepped into our mansion and tried to sneak to my room, but my parents were sitting on my bed waiting for me. With the look they had on their faces, I knew that they'd been informed of my grades already. Good morning, Mom and Dad. How was your day? I tried to sound cheerful, but the look on their faces was anything but. They just shook their heads, looking speechless.
What else can we do, Rachel? We sent you to one of the best schools in the country. We've given you a great life, a life most people can only dream of. We buy books for you, we encourage you to study, you have a full library to yourself at home. I don't know what to do anymore.
My dad sighed deeply, looking very sad.
What is wrong, honey? What is causing this? Whatever it is, you can tell us.
I honestly didn't know what was wrong with me. I couldn't understand why I was so dumb despite trying my best to study. I don't know, Mom. I wish I did. My parents left the room looking defeated. I'd expected a worse reaction, but my parents just looked hurt, so sad that it almost looked like they wanted to cry. A few days had passed since I had that sad discussion with my parents. It was a Saturday morning, and I ran downstairs to get a glass of milk. There was a strange man waiting for me in the kitchen. Who are you and why are you in my kitchen?
Oh, hello, Miss Rachel. How are you doing this morning? I hope you had a great night. Feel free to call me Freddie. I'm your new tutor.
Tutor? As much as I wanted to run back to my room and lock my door, I knew I really needed lessons. Fine. I poured myself a glass of milk. Do you want one?
Oh, no. Thank you for the offer, miss.
I shrugged. Okay. The next few weeks were filled with extra lessons. Once I was done with school, I'd come back home and continue with my tutor. I'm sure you must think that something changed. Absolutely not. I remained as dumb as ever. My parents even believed I had gotten worse. The tutor was fired and new tutors were hired every week whenever the last one failed to create an impact on my brain, but it was all to no avail. I never got better. My parents stopped hiring tutors and decided that they'd create more free time from work and try to tutor me themselves. My dad had spent a whole day teaching me about the reproductive system when he asked me what my favorite part of the lesson was. He looked stunned when he realized that I couldn't remember any part of the full day's lesson. That was the last time my dad tutored me. He was replaced with Mom, who had more patience. The next month, I went for my monthly brain and body checkup, but the doctor insisted that nothing was wrong with me, just like other doctors had said over the years.
Her brain and body are in perfect condition. If there's anything making her fail, it is definitely not a medical issue. She's just as normal as any other teenager.
My parents sighed. They really hoped that I had some kind of brain condition that was making me fail, but that was as far away from the truth as possible. I overheard my parents arguing one day, so I snuck out of my room to find them. I found them in their home office. The door had been left slightly open, and this was why the sound of their voices were flowing down the hallway.
You really embarrassed us today.
Sweetheart, this is normal. Wealthy people like us bribe schools all the time. The only abnormal thing is the school refusing such a huge sum of money when I know they need it. That principal's ethics may drag her school to the mud.
That evil woman just wanted to get rid of our beautiful daughter.
I don't know what to do anymore. Perhaps it's all for the best. Rachel should forget about schooling and start a business. We can't keep spending all these billions on school fees when she isn't improving.
I don't understand. What happened? I barged into the office. They looked surprised to see me, but quickly regained their composure.
You've been expelled,
my dad said nonchalantly. Huh? Why?
Well, your principal threatened to expel you if you didn't get better, and your amazing father decided to offer her a bribe to keep you back in school and keep your grades up, but the stupid woman got offended by his kind act, and she expelled you on the spot instead,
Mom said sarcastically. I ran back to my room in tears. Perhaps Dad was right. I needed to forget about school. I was too dumb to understand anything anyway. Mom hadn't given up on me yet, so she decided to consult God. She dragged me to different churches and mosques, hoping that religious leaders would pray for me and release me from this disease that was causing my dumbness. Unfortunately, her efforts were in vain because nothing changed. On one particular occasion, when a pastor was praying for me, the principal that expelled me from school came into the church. She witnessed the pastor trying to deliver me from stupidity and burst into laughter. She left shortly after that, and I felt so embarrassed. A few days later, she called my parents and told them that I could resume school. We were overjoyed. The Lord really worked in mysterious ways after all. I was healed of schoollessness, but not dumbness. Mom convinced me to keep going to all church programs. Perhaps my dumbness would be the next thing on God's list. Dad visited me one day during a church program, and I was so excited to see him, so once we were done, I ran straight into his arms. After hugging him, we started walking home, while our limo driver followed us with the car behind.
Sweetheart, let's stop at the park and get ice cream. We could also hang out there for a few minutes. What do you think?
Yay, absolutely, I giggled. As we were licking ice cream and talking on the swing, a strange-looking old woman walked up to us and smiled.
You guys look so happy together, but I can see deep within your souls. I know what your problems are, and I know how to solve them.
What's my problem? I asked, curious.
Sweetheart, don't talk to those homeless dirty people. All right, shoo, get out of here.
My dad tried chasing the woman away. Dad, it's all right. I'm just toying with her. What's my problem, old woman? I asked again. The woman had started leaving but stopped once she heard my question.
I have a cure for dumbness,
she said, handing me a pen.
Use this pen for exams and tests, and you'd always get straight A's.
My dad burst into laughter.
What? This is so crazy and funny.
I stretched my right hand to collect it, but she quickly put the pen behind her.
This pen is not for free.
How much is it?
It has 3 conditions attached to it. 1, you have to get a job, an actual job where you work hard to make money. And from the monthly salary you get from this job, you'll transfer $50 to me every month as monthly payment for the pen. 2, you will actually have to read and prepare hard for all your papers. The pen doesn't work if you don't make any effort. 3, you have to write the exam and make sure that the answers are correct to the best of your ability. Then the pen will take care of the rest. That is all.
She stretched her hand towards me. This time, she was holding both the pen and a piece of paper with her account number.
If you try to cheat in any way, form, or manner, e.g., you don't read or you miss a monthly payment, or you pay me from Daddy's money instead of yours, the pen will stop working immediately.
I nodded and tried to collect the pen and paper from the woman, but my dad slapped the woman's hand off.
That's enough, Rachel. Get up, we're leaving.
And with that, he dragged me away. Luckily, I was able to grab the pen and paper from the woman and hide it in my pocket before I was whisked away. I got a job as a fashion editor's intern, and it was dreadful at first. My monthly salary was a quarter of the allowance that my dad gave me weekly. I wanted to quit immediately, but I remembered what the old woman said and decided to try harder. In a very short time, I was enjoying the job and learning new things. I set up an automatic monthly payment of $50 from my new salary account to the old woman's account, and I read day and night. I read during school breaks, work breaks, and even weekends. I practiced and read more than I had ever done in my entire life. Just like the woman said, I got A's in everything I wrote with that pen, from tests to homework to classwork and more. My principal suspected that I was cheating and watched me like a hawk trying to catch me in action, but she never could. My dad noticed this difference and confronted me one day.
Why are you working at that fashion place? I know they don't pay you well. Why don't you just quit so you'd have more time to study?
I study at work too, Dad. It doesn't matter.
I want you to stop working there. That kind of work is only meant for middle-class people.
Do you have another job for me, Dad?
I don't want you to work at all for now. When you graduate, I'll give you a job that'll pay you millions monthly.
Sorry, Dad. I can't quit.
Wait a minute. This doesn't have anything to do with that old woman we met at the park, does it?
I'm not a good liar, so my dad got the truth from my facial expression, and he angrily called my mother. We discussed, and my mom managed to convince him to let me keep using the pen till I graduated high school. I was so excited. I kept using the pen and excelling for years, but something terrible happened on the morning of my final papers. I couldn't find the pen. I ransacked the house and school, but it had disappeared. I started having a panic attack and decided that I wasn't going to write the papers. I'd miss them and write them next year when I'd found the old pen or gotten a new one from the old woman. My parents pleaded with me. They reminded me that I'd studied so hard for my exams, and it'd be a shame to miss it. After a lot of convincing, I walked into the exam hall white as chalk and shaking like I was wrapped in ice. I did my very best in all the papers, just like I'd been doing in all my tests and exams. Then I came back home and waited for the dreadful news. To my surprise, I scored A's in all my papers, every single one. My parents were elated and we threw a huge graduation party. During the party, that strange old woman came in and everyone started hugging her like they knew her. Saying I was confused is an understatement. I was bewildered.
Rachel, come here.
My dad called out while hugging the old woman.
Meet my godmother and your great-godmother.
What? It turned out that it was just a plan and everyone was in on it. There was never a magic pen. It was just a plain old normal pen, and all the A's I'd been getting were of my own hard work. All I needed was a little push. All I had to do was study hard and believe in myself, and I could conquer anything. I wasn't dumb after all. I wasn't dumb after all. I wasn't